everyone, welcome back to English class. Dear students, today we are going to do a poem that is from the book Honeydew. The name of the poem, Then I Set Out for Lyonnesse. Linus, sorry. So let's talk about the poet first. Name of the poet is Thomas Hardy, who born on 2nd of June 1840 in United Kingdom, UK. And when he was 22, Hardy left for London, where he was influenced by the works of Robert Browning and Charles Darwin. Okay, and he tried his hand at writing when he was 17, and he had written many poems, and the famous one are The Darkling Thrush, Neutral Tones, The Man He Killed, and the movies Far From Mattling Ground, The Mayor of Casterbridge. Okay, and he died in 1928. If we talk about this poem, the name of the poem is When I Set It for Linus, and yes, an introduction is given at the beginning. uh, if we talk about the poem, that this poem is all about the inner change. Okay, and how the writer got change in him. Let us talk about it. As a young apprentice architect, British poet and novelist Thomas Hardy once visited a parish to supervise the restoration of a church. On his return from the parish, people noticed two things about him: a new glow in his eyes and a crumpled piece of paper sticking out of his coat pocket. That paper, it is recorded in one of his biographies, contained the draft of a poem. You are going to read that a very poem inspired by a visit to a place which the poet calls Linus. So this poem was inspired by a visit, right? So here is the word apprentice, which means a person who is paid as a trainee. Okay, so architect, and he was getting training of the architecture course, and architect means a person who designs or plans the constructions. Okay, so as he was a young trainee of architect, and obviously he was earning something also, he was a poet and novelist, and the name is Thomas Hardy. He had gone to visit a parish. Parish means a small church belonging to a small community, because the construction work, restoration, renovation was going on. So he had gone to supervise the construction, and after return from the parish, he noticed, or everybody, people around him noticed two things: a new glow in his eyes and a crumpled means crushed piece of paper sticking out of his coat pocket. A piece of paper was there in his pocket, and he had written a poem, and he had shared the experience of visiting the parish, visiting the Linus. And this poem, which we are going to read, is all about that. So let's talk about the place Linus first. Okay, it is a mythical birthplace of Sir Tristram in England. Right? It is believed to have been submerged by the sea. In the poem, it is used as an imaginary place. The poet suggests that after visiting that place, he received spiritual benefit. Okay, so the poet's choice to use this setting refers to an actual place that imparts an air of magic and mysticism. Okay, so let us talk about the poem one by one, stanza wise. And first of all, I am going to read out the poem, the stanza 1. When I set out for Linus, 100 miles away, the rhyme was on spray, and starlight lit my lonesomeness. When I set out for Linus, 100 miles away. So, dear student, in this stanza, you can see two lines are repeated again. Okay, so here is the word rhyme, which means frost. Next word is spray, which means spread of leaves and branches of a tree. Lonesomeness means loneliness. And if we see, when I set out for Linus, 100 miles away. In this stanza, we see that the poet set out means ready to go out for Linus, which was situated 100 miles away. This is the distance, 100 miles away. This is the distance of the place from its native place. And remember, the rhyme was on the spray. Rhyme means frost. Spray means spread of leaves. It means it was the winter season. From this line, we can get that it was the winter season and weather was very cold. Snow, frost was everywhere. It was spreading all over the leaves and branches of the tree. And starlit light lit my lonesomeness. And starlight means, yes, lights of the stars in the sky. It means it was a night, right? So lit my lonesomeness, loneliness. So the shine in the night sky helped him when he was lonely. When I set out for Linus 100 miles away, and he had no idea what would happen during his stay at Linus, so he went to Linus 100 miles away, and the distance is of 100 miles. So in this stanza, he was just saying about the beginning of the journey. When he started the journey, it was the winter, and yes, it was a night time also, and he was lonely. He had gone alone, and the starlight helped him to show his path, or just made his companion. Let's move on to the next stanza. What would be chance at Linus while I should sojourn there? No prophet durst declare, nor did the wisest wizard guess. What would be chance at Linus when I should sojourn there? So, as you can see, again, two lines have been repeated. So, here is the word by chance, which means about to happen. Sojourn, sojourn, stay. Prophet, a holy person who predicts the future. Dust, dare, wizard, an intelligent person. So now what he was saying in the stanza, the poet expresses his unsurety about what would happen at Linus. What would happen at Linus, he was not sure. While I should sojourn there, sojourn means stay, means should he will be there, should he stay there, okay, and should he come back or not. So he had no idea. No prophet durst declare. Prophet means a holy person who predicts the future. So even a prophet cannot tell anything about the future, means he had no dare to declare about the future, means should he come back or should he stay there. Or nor did the wisest wizards, not even the intelligent persons would tell the future. Okay, so according to the poet says that even a prophet or a wisest wizard, an intelligent person, would fail to predict the experience accurately and vividly about the Linus while I should sojourn there, means should he stay there or not, or what would be the experience, nobody can guess about it. Okay, so last stanza of the poem. When I returned from Lyonnesse with magic in my eyes, all marked with mute surmise, my radiance rare and fathomless. When I returned from Lyonnesse with magic in my eyes. So, in the first stanza, we had read about that he had set out for Lyonnesse. In second stanza, we had read about that he had no idea, or nobody can prophet made prophecy about the future. And in the last stanza, he had returned back from the Linus. So what had done there? Here is the word mute, which means quiet or silent. Surmise, which means thoughts or guesses. Radiance, glow. Fathomless, so deep that depth cannot be measured. Right? So, what happened in the stanza? The poet describes what happened on his return. On his return from the parish, people noticed two things about him: a new glow in his eyes. Okay, so what they had noticed? With magic in my eyes. He returned with the new magic in his eyes, all marked with mute surmise, means all the quiet persons, all the persons around him was surprised, and many thoughts, many quiet thoughts were there. Okay, they were floating in their minds. My radiance rare and fathomless. And what was there? Means the rare glow on his face, which they have not noticed earlier, was so deep that that cannot be measured. Okay, it means he got spiritual benefit from the Lyonnesse. Okay, when he returned from there, he had new magic in his eyes, new hope in his eyes, and obviously radiance, a rare glow was shining on his face, and everybody around him, every people around him noticed that changed. Okay, so when I returned from Linus with magic in my eyes, so he explained the experience of his return, means how he returned and how he changed himself after the journey. So it is an imaginary place we have read, and yes, so the poet was sure that when he returned there was magic in his eyes. He also had the radiance glow which is rare and very deep. So some places welcome us with a mute surmise. Visit to such places are really rewarding and illuminating. So the poet wants to say that the visit to such places like the church or any other spiritual places are really rewarding and illuminating, means you always get spiritual benefit and a different glow whenever you visit these kind of places. Okay, but as in the summary in the beginning we have read, there were two changes. One was the two things, sorry, two changes were magic in the eyes and glow in his face. Okay, but two things were complete change in his personality and a piece of paper on which he had drafted a poem. Which poem? Which we are reading now. Okay, so I hope you all have understood the concept and theme of the poem, as it is very beautiful poem written by Thomas Hardy. So thank you so much.